The wind screamed through the city streets as Claire Montgomery ducked into a small cafe, her discount shoes already ruined from the rain. Inside, she shivered and stared at the glowing window of Constantine's across the street, the legendary restaurant where she'd dreamed of dining just once. Then she saw the limousine pull up, watched the elegant couple hurry inside without reservations, and felt that familiar ache. Some doors weren't meant for people like her. Or were they? Before we dive into the story, comment below where in the world you're watching from. Claire's fingers trembled as she fumbled with her wallet, water dripping from her coat onto the cafe floor. The barista handed her a paper towel without meeting her eyes. Outside, Constantine's golden awning gleamed like a beacon, its valet stand populated by Mercedes and Bentleys. "Someday," she whispered, watching another power couple glide through those famous doors. The next morning found Claire at her desk, in the cramped accounting office of Morrison & Associates. Her cubicle was the smallest, tucked into a corner where the heating barely reached. She'd been there 3 years, working quietly while others collected promotions. "Montgomery!" Richard Morrison's voice boomed across the office. "Conference. Room? Now!" Claire gathered her notepad, hurrying past the newer hires with their designer suits. In the glass-walled conference room, the partners sat around the mahogany table. "We need someone to handle the Constantine account," Richard announced. Their previous firm botched their books completely. Claire's heart jumped. Constantine's, the restaurant from last night. "I'd like to take it," she said quickly. Richard's eyebrows rose. "You? This isn't data entry, Montgomery. Constantine's is our biggest hospitality client." "I understand complex restaurant accounting," Claire replied. "I've studied their industry specifically." "Have you now?" Richard's smile turned condescending. "Tell you what, you can assist Davidson on this one. Maybe learn something." Heat crept up Claire's neck as Marcus Davidson, the golden boy of the firm, smirked from across the table. "Don't worry, Claire. I'll keep it simple for you." That afternoon, Claire attended her first meeting at Constantine's. The owner, James Constantine himself, commanded the room with his silver hair and tailored suit. His managers flanked him like generals. "We need this sorted before the fiscal year ends," James declared. "No more amateur mistakes." Marcus stepped forward confidently. "Mr. Constantine, I've already identified several discrepancies in your previous firm's work." "Actually," Claire interrupted softly, "those aren't discrepancies. They're following the specialized depreciation schedule for your vintage wine collection." The room fell silent. Marcus's face darkened. "Excuse me." James turned to her. "Your 1982 Chateau Latour, for instance," Claire continued. "It appreciates, rather than depreciates. The previous firm was using the correct alternative valuation method. And you know this how?" James asked. "I've studied restaurant accounting extensively, sir. Particularly high-end establishments." Marcus laughed sharply. "Claire's our entry-level associate. She's still learning." James's eyes narrowed. "I see." 2 weeks later, Claire discovered Marcus had been using her research while presenting it as his own. She'd spent nights analyzing Constantine's books, finding a sophisticated tax-saving structure the previous firm had missed. But in meetings, Marcus took credit for every insight. "Excellent work on the liquor license amortization," Richard praised Marcus during a team meeting. Claire's knuckles whitened around her pen. That had been her discovery, outlined in a memo she'd sent Marcus at 2 a.m. "Thanks," Marcus replied smoothly. "It's all about understanding the nuances." After the meeting, Claire confronted him in the hallway. "That was my work." "Prove it," Marcus shrugged. "Besides, you should be grateful. You're learning from the best." That evening, Claire stayed late, again diving deeper into Constantine's finances. She found something significant, a series of overlooked deductions that could save the restaurant hundreds of thousands. But this time, she documented everything meticulously, keeping copies on her personal drive. The final humiliation came during the year-end presentation. James Constantine had invited the entire accounting team to his restaurant for the financial review. Claire sat at the far end of the conference table, watching Marcus prepare to present her work. "Before we begin," James announced, "I'd like to recognize excellence. Marcus here has done outstanding work." Claire's stomach churned as Marcus stood, straightening his silk tie. "Thank you, Mr. Constantine. I've identified several opportunities." The lights flickered. Marcus's laptop screen went black. "Technical difficulties," Marcus muttered, frantically pressing keys. "Perhaps," James said slowly, "Miss Montgomery could share her thoughts while we wait." Claire's pulse quickened. I don't have access to the presentation." "Then speak from memory," James challenged. "Surely you understand the work." Marcus smirked. "Claire's more of a support role." "I found $347,000 in overlooked deductions," Claire said suddenly, standing. "Your previous accountants missed the specialized equipment depreciation for your molecular gastronomy lab. The centrifuge alone qualifies for Section 179 expensing." The room went still. "Continue," James said. "You're also eligible for energy efficiency credits on your blast chillers," Claire continued, her voice gaining strength. "And your truffle inventory can be valued using LIFO accounting during price fluctuations, saving another $50,000 annually." She moved to the whiteboard, sketching calculations from memory. "But the biggest opportunity is your wine futures contracts. They're being taxed as ordinary income when they qualify for capital gains treatment, a difference of nearly 20%. That's my analysis," Marcus stammered. "Really?" Claire turned to him. "Then explain the amortization schedule for their sommelier certification program." Marcus's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "Or the tax implications of their Michelin star consultant fees." Silence. James Constantine leaned back, a slight smile playing at his lips. "Miss Montgomery, how long have you been preparing this analysis?" 3 months, sir, nights and weekends." "And why haven't we heard this from you directly before?" Claire glanced at Marcus, then back to James. "I believed in following proper channels." "Proper channels?" James's eyebrows rose. "Or were you allowing others to take credit for your work?" Marcus's face had gone pale. Richard Morrison shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I have documentation," Claire said quietly. "Time-stamped emails, draft files, research notes, all proving this work is mine." That's preposterous," Marcus spluttered. "She's trying to undermine—" "Enough!" James's voice cut through the room. "Miss Montgomery, I'd like to offer you a position." Claire blinked. "Sir?" "Director of Financial Operations for Constantine's. You'll report directly to me." Richard Morrison stood abruptly. "Now wait just a minute. I'm not asking permission," James said coolly. "I'm informing you that I'm hiring your best accountant. Unless you'd prefer to explain why she's been doing executive-level work for entry-level pay." The room erupted. Richard was red-faced. Marcus was stammering excuses, but Claire heard none of it. She was staring at James Constantine, who extended his hand across the table. "What do you say, Miss Montgomery? Ready to sit at a different table?" The next morning, Claire cleaned out her cubicle while Marcus avoided her eyes. Richard had offered her a promotion, senior accountant with a modest raise, but she'd already accepted James's offer. "You're making a mistake," Richard warned. "Constantine's is just one restaurant. We're a firm with dozens of clients." "A firm that overlooked talent sitting right under your nose," Claire replied, packing her calculator. As she walked out, several junior associates gave her quiet thumbs up. Sarah from payroll whispered, "About time someone stood up to them." Her first day at Constantine's, Claire arrived early. James met her in the executive offices overlooking the kitchen. "I've been watching you," he admitted, pouring coffee. "Since that first meeting when you corrected Marcus about the wine depreciation. I knew then you were different." "Why didn't you say anything?" "I wanted to see how you'd handle adversity. This industry chews up the weak." Claire nodded, understanding. "What's my first assignment?" "Restructure our entire financial operation." "And Claire?" James smiled. "No more sitting in corners. You eat at the chef's table now." 6 months later, Claire stood in her new office, reviewing proposals from accounting, firms begging for Constantine's business. Morrison and Associates had sent 3 letters, each more desperate than the last. A knock interrupted her thoughts. James entered with a younger woman, nervous, plainly dressed, clutching a worn portfolio. "Claire, this is Amanda. Recent graduate, top of her accounting class, but can't get interviews at the big firms. Claire saw herself in Amanda's anxious eyes, remembered that feeling of being overlooked. "Have a seat," Claire said warmly. "Tell me about your interest in restaurant accounting." As Amanda spoke, passion overcoming nervousness, Claire made a decision. Talent existed everywhere, in corner cubicles, in entry-level positions, in people others dismissed at first glance. Later, Claire walked through the restaurant, no longer the woman peering through rain-streaked windows. She paused at the entrance where the maitre d' was turning away a young couple. "I'm sorry," he was saying, "but we're fully booked." Claire stepped forward. "Actually, I believe we can accommodate them." The maitre d' looked surprised. "Ms. Montgomery?" "Set them up at table 12, Claire instructed. "And remember, we never judge our guests by their attire." That evening, Claire dined at the chef's table, watching the young couple enjoy their meal. They reminded her of herself not so long ago, hungry for more than food, yearning to belong. Her phone buzzed, an email from Richard Morrison. "We'd like to discuss bringing you back at a senior partner level." Claire smiled, typing a brief response. "Thank you, but I'm exactly where I belong." As she hit send, James raised his glass from across the room. She lifted hers in return, remembering his words from that pivotal night, ready to sit at a different table. She was more than ready. She was home. Sometimes the most valuable treasures hide in plain sight, dismissed by those too blind to see, past surface appearances. Claire had learned this truth. Your worth isn't determined by where others seat you, but by knowing your own value and having the courage to claim your rightful place at the table.